Ball Rabil. Splits two and scores!
Yeah, this is what you'd think it is. It's an Atlas team shaft from our collab with Epic. Remember, these all sold out during our midnight drop. But there's one left. And since we're talking all things Atlas this episode, we figured we'd give this bad boy away at the end of the show.
Speaking of Atlas, when I think of this club, I think of some of the biggest names in our sport. You have Paul Rabil, Kyle Hartzell, Tucker Durkin, Trevor Baptiste, and now Rob Pennell.
But this team just couldn't seem to get it done in year one. Sure, they had some big wins, like against Chrome in Chicago.
On the short stick, shoots, scores! And Atlas hang on and can celebrate their first win.
And also against the Archers in Atlanta.
Scores, quick restart, save made by Buchanan, the left hand won't go for Schreiber at the horn!
They even got the win they needed in their last regular season game versus Chaos.
Buchanan locks up the win for Atlas. And we'll see tomorrow if that's good enough to punch their ticket to the playoffs.
But it ultimately wasn't enough due to the Redwoods' 11-goal win over the Chrome.
Redwoods needed to win by 7 to clinch a playoff spot. They win by 11.
And keep in mind, Atlas had quite the advantage last year, having the #1 faceoff athlete in the league. Trevor won 165 faceoffs in 2019. Yeah, 30 more than any other faceoff specialist in the league.
So how are the tides going to turn for the Bulls this summer? To answer that, we are bringing in team captains Paul Rabil and Kyle Hartzell to tell us how Atlas is going to shake things up heading into the championship series. But first, we are going to hit you with some of the biggest matchups, in our opinions, that will be happening this summer.
Matchups for the 2020 Championship Series have been announced. Among them, one of the biggest billings of the series in the championship rematch between the Redwoods and the Whipsnakes Lacrosse Club. It's going to be a big one, guys. Who do you have in the championship rematch? Whips or Woods?
Chaos will take on the Redwoods as well in the round-robin tournament. It will be the first time fans get to see Sergio Salcido and Miles Jones play against the teams that traded them away.
And another matchup that'll be must-watch television this summer will be Water Dogs Atlas. You've got the top picks of the entry draft going head-to-head. Rob Pennell and Zach Currier, two of the best at their respective positions in the world. It's going to be a good one.
And how about Archers versus Chrome? I don't know about you, but I'm pumped to see Grant Ament take the PLL field. Not to mention they're going to be playing a Chrome team that was rebuilt this offseason and has something to prove in year 2.
Stay tuned for TV time so you can just set your calendar. Make sure you don't miss a second of the action. First up, we're going to bring in Atlas midfielder Paul Rabil. Now, Paul had the second most assists out of all midfielders in the league last season with 13. And he's going to have even more weapons to dish to this summer.
Finally.
Now we're going to ask Paul about Rob, some of those added weapons around him, who's set to thrive the most during this tournament-style series, and lastly, how Atlas can get it done this time around in year 2.
Ball Rabil. Here you go. Splits 2 and scores!
Thanks, RJ and Lisa. First off, I need to recognize that I'm actually on the Fast Break set while you all continue to film this from home. I'm in the office and have been for the past couple of weeks trying to get the championship series back in motion. We just announced the matchup, so everything is firing on all cylinders right now. We're really excited about it. Let me talk about Atlas. So I'll first address some of our struggles as an offense last year. I think it was a challenge of having so many talented players in only 6 spots on offense in any given possession and 1 ball. So we had 4 world-class attackmen between Ryan Brown, Eric Law, Chris Kluche, and Kieran McCardle. Then we had myself and Bus coming out of the front, both like hard-nosed North-South Dodgers, and then we had anywhere from John Crawley to Joel Tinney and a number of other really dynamic midfielders who could fill in at any given time. So we more or less lacked an identity on what worked consistently throughout the year. And there were times where we had some great moments, like when we played the Redwoods in Denver.
And Atlas pick up the win behind a monster first half. 18 goals in all, 14 in the first half.
When we played Archers originally in Atlanta, a Whipsnakes game in DC, even though we lost that, they had the best defense in the league, and we were getting quality shots possession after possession. And in each of those games, we were excelling in one area, whether it was starting the offense in a low wing dodge or starting an invert or keeping it up top. So I think our inability to find that consistency more regularly is what hurt us, and our inevitable miss of the playoffs due to a couple of goals that the Redwoods got in their final regular season game that gave them the tiebreaker. So that was 2019. For 2020, we've had some pretty big upgrades. The first is Rob Pennell, who's regarded by many as the best attackman in the world, and we got him in the entry draft. Fell into our laps almost because Zach Currier and Jesse Bernhardt went 1 and 2. So I don't know how the hell Rob Pennell goes 3, but we got him at 3, and he's going to be a point guard for us. Much like how Rob and I have played together in the past professionally and also with Team USA. So I'm excited to have that balance and that new identification for our offense. And then secondarily is bringing on a new head coach in Ben Rubior, who was one of the greatest offensive players of all time at University of Virginia and has an IQ for offense and lacrosse unlike very many. I think it's clear that Coach Rubior and the rest of the staff have prioritized the midfield position given the context of this tournament. But what I've seen when you jam a bunch of games into a short window, it's what happens in between the lines that will lead to a championship. And for us, if you look at our roster, we're heavy and we're loaded up at the midfield with guys who can play both ways. And you'll see guys like myself play more defense as a result. And then I think we have two of the best team middies in the league in Jake Richard and Kevin Unterstein.
Got the double. Unterstein got it away from him.
Providing that stability, but you'll see Atlas go from the back to the front and score transition, and also get from the front to the back and hopefully defend transition, as we were able to do even in our final regular season game against Chaos, who by far and away was the best transition team in the league.
Into Rabil. Still has it, and Rabil got involved.
So we have that in us. And I think you'll see the differentiator be out of the midfield. I'm certainly not biased to it as a midfielder, but I just think midfielders are going to win these games. Last thing I'll say, go Bulls. Back to you two.
They've got downtown Ryan Brown, Eric Law, Paul Rabil, the Tin Man, Rob Pennell. This Atlas offense has a ton of firepower. They've got the potential to light up the scoreboard this summer in Salt Lake because they certainly have the pieces to make it happen.
Now, let's talk about the Bulls' defense. They're stacked with talent like Kyle Hartzell, who delivers some of the hardest checks like this one. Then you have the best cover defenseman in the world in Tucker Durkin, and of course, Cade Van Two-Bombs.
Yeah! Woo! Cade Van Two-Bombs, baby! Cade Van Two-Bombs!
But Atlas's defense allowed the most fast break goals in the league with 54 and often struggled with 6-on-6 defense. So now with the championship series in sight, what are they going to do differently to make sure they execute on their side of the ball? Here's Kyle.
I think when things started to go downhill was that Chaos game in Red Bull Arena. We kind of got throttled there at the beginning.
Finds a trailing for Caro from 2. He got it! Clancy with the up, the 2 from the...
Oh, you're not entertained!
And Atlas falls to 0-2.
We didn't hit our stride until I think mid-season, and towards the end, battling for a playoff spot, it was just too late. We have great on-ball defensemen on our team, and where we didn't do well was off-ball. We gave up the most assisted goals in the league, I think, last year, and we gave up the most transition goals last year, coming down from O to D, and that needs to change, right? In a league where guys are running and gunning offense to defense quickly, we need to be better in that area, and I think with our new coaching staff, obviously Rick Beardsley leading the defense, I think we're going to really improve in that department, because last year we didn't have that consistency back there as a coaching staff. And our leader back there, Tucker Durkin, our anchor on our defense.
Hey, behind you, Hartz! Hartz lane! Hartz you! Phil here!
He's obviously not satisfied with what happened last year, and he'll have us rolling and ready to go here with the championship series.
Overall, we're communicating, we're playing hard. Talking about defending, we really got to defend that first 10, 15 seconds once they get over the midline. So we settle in.
The team that's in the best shape is going to win this thing. Like I said, you're going to be playing games with heavy legs. It's going to be a really mental game, I think, at that point. Of going back to your fundamentals, communicating, fundamentally approaching the ball, just talking to the guy next to you. So I think Atlas defense is going to be a key piece in winning this thing.
Hartzell, Baptiste for 2!
You have Trevor Baptiste, the best face-off guy in the world. If we can make stops and our offense is putting the ball in the back of the net, man, Trevor's getting the ball pretty much every time that whistle blows.
In Philadelphia in late September, a face-off violation and a goal right off the bat for Brown and Atlas. 8 seconds spins in.
We know that, and we know we don't have much time when we get to PLL Island. So we need to get there, come together as a team, and put our best foot forward, because at the end of the day, this is a 3-week window. We need to just give it everything we got, and I'm excited for it, because this is going to be the best lacrosse you have ever seen, right? This is going to be the best lacrosse, bar none, you have ever seen, just because of the short period it's in and the competition level. So I'm excited. I know everybody else in this league's excited, and I'm really looking forward to competing for a championship.
Do you guys remember the Whip Snakes Atlas game at Homewood Field? A rivalry, under the lights, sold out crowd. Mostly I'm bringing this up because I miss it, but second of all, it seemed like it was one of the grittiest lacrosse games we saw all of 2019 season.
Rabil down the alley, the left hand free, he scores!
Atlas's games always seemed like they were coming down to the fourth quarter, so I'm excited to see what fourth quarter wins this new team can get in 2020. I know we forgot to mention it at the top of the show, but less than 40 days, people, until we will get to see that matchup once again.
That's the final whistle, and you get to win this sold-out Atlas team shaft that I've been carrying around for the entire episode. It's a really simple question this week. Lisa, what is it?
Who is going to be the difference maker for Atlas in 2020? Is it going to be one of their new additions in RP3, Romar Dennis, or is it going to be someone who gives them the possession advantage every game like Trevor Baptiste?
So Lisa and I are going to get down there in the comments, pick a winner very shortly, and ship one of you all this custom Atlas Epic collab shaft. So you've heard from Paul, you've heard from Kyle. You know the question you have to answer for a chance to win this Epic Atlas team shaft. I think that's about it. While you're down there commenting, make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. That's about it for me. Championship Series is coming up, man. We'll see you next week.
It's about time someone respects the 33-year-old legs and gives me a hole.